Okay, so I guess we are here live now. Perfect.
Yep.
Okay, so let's maybe give a second or minute for everyone to join. And in the meantime, I will keep everyone probably entertained. But first of all, I wanted to share the QR code as we are today hosting a Q&A session regarding the Super App training. So here is the code, and if you have any questions, you can simply scan this QR code. It will take you to slido.com. And then you can just post your question. You can also upvote the questions that are out there and posted by everyone else. So they will be answered first. Okay. So we'll probably start today with a short recap of what Super App training is. Maybe some questions will be answered uh, even before they are asked, with a recap of what is the training program all about, what it consists, what it consists. Of and then there will be a plenty of space. I think we'll secure maybe 30 minutes, 40 minutes to answer all the questions, any doubts, any hesitations you might be having at the moment. Please remember the training mm, is up for sales only until today, end of day Pacific time. So if you are considering buying it, then today is the day. Okay.
Yeah, I think.
As we had like a little introduction, maybe slight brief agenda about that, I think we can get started. Mike, Jacob, are you ready?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, so how about we start with a short intros? Once again, who has missed the webinar or maybe didn't read that carefully through the agenda and the authors of the course might find this useful. So I'm hosting this Q&A session. I'm Chris. I'm doing here business matters at CoStack, including sales, and today with me, Mike Peshawa, head of technology at CoStack, and Jacob Romanchik, who is a core contributor to Repag and your host in the Super App training. So today we'll be answering your questions. As I mentioned, if you want to ask a question during the quick recap of what training is about, then scan this QR code, go to Slido, post your question, or the question you have is already answered, then upvote the ones that are already there, and we'll be answering them in a few minutes. So now I will take literally a few minutes to tell you once again about what is the training all about, maybe answer your questions ahead of time, and then there will be a space for dedicated Q&A session. So the Super Apps training. And so how to learn to create super apps in React Native with Repag in net time of 1 hour. What is this training? So this is, first of all, comprehensive overview of how to use Repag to create your super app. It's fast, it's 1 hour, it's organized, and it will just guide you through the whole process of creating a super app, from not knowing how to get started with super app approach up until the moment you already are able to develop a simple super app and you are ready to keep exploring more advanced cases. So then you can avoid the trial and error. You can avoid reading through the documentation for hours and hours and then experimenting on yourself, on your own. We share our knowledge about Repack, about the super apps from open source, from commercial large projects. And as far as we are aware, this is the only training about super apps in React Native and definitely on Repack. So that's a rare find. And as this is the first edition, I want to be clear with you who is this training for, who is it not for. So let me start with this. When this training will be good for you. So it will be good for you if you are managing or if you are on the team of approximately 30 plus engineers. This is where we find a super apps approach and usage of Repack, bringing the most benefits and the most value and optimization. If you are an architect or infrastructure designing, being in charge of the team structures, of the tooling, of how the team or teams cooperate with each other on the project, then this might be a useful piece of information about the possible architecture approach. And most definitely, this is for you if you are using or willing to use React Native, because Repack is a Webpack toolkit for React Native, so it will obviously work within React Native environment. How the training look like? And this is 100% fully online pre-recorded training with several video lessons guiding you through the before mentioned process. As you go through the lessons and you are listening to Jacob hosting you on the course, you are also working with a demo app that is a super app example and being versioned as accordingly to the lessons in the training. Then you are also having some homeworks to do. You can build the app that we have prepared for you, and this way you learn how to build a super app, but also in parallel you can possibly work on your product, build it on your own and prepare, for example, a proof of concept. And then it's also backed by something really great. I believe this is networking and support on a Discord community that we are facilitating. And here we are having for you already pre-prepared channels. We'll be answering the questions that you might have in this community, so you are not left alone after purchasing this course. This training will be really nearby on this Discord channel. So there in the Discord, apart from asking us mentors or maybe experts in the domain, you can also discuss with others. You can post your materials in case you face any problems. You can ask there, and maybe exchange some thoughts, exchange opportunities that you are trying to grasp, exchange your possible problems when going through the lessons. And most importantly, as at CoStack, we are all about being part of community. Here, we also want to facilitate new connections for you. Okay, once again. Okay, so as I mentioned, here is Jacob. He's also together with us in the live session. He'll be conducting hosting all the lessons for you. And here is the agenda. I will not go one by one, but I will simply conclude that from not knowing how to get started with super apps approach, so just federated, separated modules being independently developed as a separate parts of the app, then eventually contributing to one as a app as a whole. If you don't know how to do that, this training is exactly for you. And where you'll end up after this training, you'll know how to build a simple app, and you'll have all materials and assets to keep exploring more advanced use cases, and of course the community to discuss with. So that's pretty much the course, but that's not all. We are adding knowledge base because the assets and documentation and the materials around the super apps, and especially super apps in React Native, are spread across the internet, and it really takes a while to even find them, and not needless to say about getting familiar with them. So we gathered this all for you. It's a part of the training program. As you introduce to your product or the super apps, it also comes with plenty of new terms. So we gather key terms on being super apps related for you. So you have it by your hand. Then for the first 10 people that signed up for the training, we have the code review with Jacob and live session accompanying that. Also, we used to throw some events around Repack and Repack community, and how you use that, how to build the super apps at scale at organizations, and we keep on doing that. I'm not here making any promises about the certain dates, but once you are becoming a part of the community, you'll surely be a part of the events as well. And at the end of that, at the end of the training, you also obtain a certificate that just confirms the training is finished. You obtain this knowledge. Also, to then keep exploring possibilities with super apps, there is a super app showcase that we have prepared for you. So once you are done with the training and with your simple app, then you have most advanced use cases showcased in this open source super app showcase, demonstrating the capabilities. So just to recap, super apps training is fast and organized process for implementing Repack for a super app purposes. You have 1 year access to all the materials, free access to all the updates that are planned along the way. And for example, state management in super apps is one of the modules that we are planning on. So you will get it. You have the access to our Discord channel with the community that will be facilitating. You have all the bonuses, and you have 100% satisfaction guarantee. So if you don't like the training for any reason, then you can just ask us to get your money back within 30 days after purchasing. No question asked. Important thing is that once you purchase, and I wanted to remind you, today, end of day Pacific time, is the last call to actually buy this training. And within 24 hours, you'll get access to the training platform. So tomorrow, November the 15th, around 9 a.m. Pacific time, the platform will be up and running. And it all comes at an incredible price, $197 US dollars, and this is the lowest price that this training will be available for. This is the first time we are launching this, so that's why we prepared a special price for this round. So just if you are considering this valuable for you, then go ahead, sign up for this training, and just become a part of this. Okay, and one last thing about the formalities is, in case it's not enough time for you to obtain budget from, for example, your self-development budget from your company, then it's no problem. You can buy on your own, and then if you eventually get this additional funding from your company, we can just correct all the formalities, just correct an invoice. That's no problem. Just drop us a line. Okay, and then we are done, I think, with the presentation part, and Q&A session is about to start. So once again, I will remind you, here is a Slido QR code, scan it and ask a question there if you have any, and then we'll do our best to answer. So do it now, and yeah, recap on the screen, and I will be reading out the questions from the Slido, starting with the most upvoted ones. Okay, so the first question from Anonymous is about deploy or release. How is the process for delivering a new version of the app? Mike?
Right, so yeah, I'll take that. So basically with the super app architecture, well, we need to deploy the app to the stores as before, at least when it comes to the host app, which is like the main part of the super app that has all the native modules in it and is basically the brain behind the super app operation. So when it comes to that, we have to release it normally through the stores. But when it comes to mini apps, that depends on what type of version you want to release. So if you want to just release a patch version that just has some changes on the JS side, then you can just push it over the air to the app using a tool like by uploading it to the CDN server and then making it available for download for the host app by the via something we call catalog server, which you can explore inside of the super app showcase and which is also mentioned during the super app training. When it comes to if for example one of your changes that you want to release also includes a different version of a JS only library, then you can also release that via CDN as before. But if your code includes changes that, for example, you have upgraded your library that has some native module associated with it, then you have to redeploy the host app to the store. So these changes are actually downloadable through the stores. And I do believe that covers all cases.
Okay, thanks, Jacob. Slight change in the approach to answering question. We'll start from the recent ones because we started with some questions that were then outstanding from also our previous Q&A session, but since the recently asked ones are now asked live, I think we'll start from them. So now, this one is quick. So PhD. Hi team, I purchased when I receive it, or give me some information. So tomorrow morning Pacific time, 9 a.m. Pacific time, we are granting access to the platform. All materials, videos, and assets will be there by then. So it's pretty much 24 hours from now. Okay, so I hope that answers your question. If not, just please let us know via Slido. I will go to another one. Does separated app modules need to be configured with Repack, or they can work Metro app?
I'll take this one. In our typical approach, you need to, if you want to use Module Federation, the approach that we've tested is with Repack only. So Repack handles all the building, all the bundling for all the chunks and federated modules. there is a possibility where you can where with Webpack, and which is available for Repack, you can download basically any JavaScript bundle out there. And this is something that Momo, an app from Vietnam, is doing. They're preparing Metro JavaScript bundles and load them with Repack at runtime, so they can treat them as their separate front ends. So this is like another approach of doing it. So it's possible. However, what we are proposing and teaching in this training is using Webpack and Repack to allow for a unified bundling process for all the apps, being host, main application, and the mini application you have there. Hope that answers the questions.
Okay.
Jacob, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I can add something. In a recent podcast with Mike, yes, we talked about that issue where
I think it's not released yet.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah,
so
it's gonna be released.
Maybe available soon. Yeah. We actually did mention that specific subject where Metro is used in development and Repack is only used in production. And in theory, that's possible, and as in practice as well, as that example shows. The only thing that you would basically have to look out for is how the modules, how the node module are resolved in your application, because there are slight differences between how Metro resolves them and how Repack does. So that's one thing to look out for. And the other issue is that in my example that I'm thinking of, you are basically just have a small mini app where you just expose one module and that's it. There's no another async boundaries in the code, etc. Because if we add more of the Repack features into the mix, that may all get very easily complicated and might not be a recommended solution anywhere. But the simple setups, yes, that could be possible.
Okay, thank you, Jacob. Moving on to next question. Is any additional confirmation required to sign iOS release app with provisioning profiles / certificates in multi-module app? Host app configuration is used?
Yeah. Okay, go on, Mike.
Yeah. So no. Like quick answer is no. You don't need any extra profiles or certifications. This is like Super App is, in terms of App Store or Google Play Store, is just a regular native app. It just happens to have this JavaScript layer on top of it that's capable. You don't have to use it. It's capable of loading extra JavaScript on demand from the network. So you do it as any other. You sign it as any other native app out there. That's it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Mike. So now the question about the push notifications. How to handle Firebase push notification in multi-module app? Host will have configuration and will send events to modules, or each module need to handle it?
Jacob, you want to take that?
Yeah, sure. So I think when you're referring to Firebase push notifications, you are using Firebase as a native module, because last time I did use that was the way it was set up. So what you need to make sure of is to include that Firebase module in the host app, and also add it to the mini apps, so the JavaScript interface is available there when you are developing. And when we connect both of the apps, we should also declare the Firebase related modules as shared. And then you should be able to trigger, in this case, a push notification from Firebase from within the mini app, because it will be still available in the super app dependency scope.
Yeah, and also I would add to that in a typical super app that you would build, you want to have your native layer abstracted in a way that's easily used from those mini applications. So what we have on the Super App Showcase repo, for example, is an example of a SDK, like a development kit for your like internal usage, where you put all your native modules, for example, or component library, and use that as an interface to call the native modules and native components from the mini applications. So you would usually put your Firebase logic and configuration there, but anything else, it's just as with any other React Native app.
Okay, thank you, Jacob. Thank you, Mike. Here we have another question. So one from Anonymous. Will instructors be the same as Mike and Jacob? Yes, it's Jacob personally who is hosting this training. He recorded all the lessons, and you'll see him in the training most often, all the time. And here may be worth emphasizing one more time, Jacob is a core contributor to Repack. He was developing this for a very, very good while, and he's the best person to actually share this knowledge. And as this training is all about building super apps with Repack, you can count on him here. And the second question in the same thread, let's say, is, do we get to interact one-to-one communication anytime? And yes, the training and the program as a whole is designed to actually facilitate the communication a bit more than only watching the lessons. So first of all, there is a Discord community that will be involved in. Obviously, will be not only facilitating that, but also answering your questions there. But also there are two more opportunities. So for the first buyers, we prepared this live session with Jacob, preceded by code review. And also we are planning on some either online or on-site meetups around super apps and Repack. So once you're joining the program, you're invited. Maybe some of those events will be also open for public, but this is also a nice opportunity to hang out, to catch up and talk in person, either about Repack or about something else as well. Okay, so I hope this answers your questions. I will now see whether there are some new ones. Okay, we also have some not answered questions from the previous session. So what the next question? What about auto deployment and end-to-end testing? Because we're gonna deal with just bundling there. Mike, Jacob?
So the question was that because we're gonna deal with JavaScript bundling there, right? So the auto deployment is not something that Repack is handling for you. Repack is handling building, and we have some tools to or script proposals to show you how to deal with dependencies across modules and across repositories, for example, how to deal with versions with a custom like proxy server for your bundles. But for now, at the current state of things, you would be responsible for creating your deployment pipeline. It's just the tools are there, and you would need to use like your favorite CI provider, add some scripts, and send it to your favorite CDN to host your bundles from. So this is not something that we are handling for you for now. I'm not really sure if we'll ever do, because the variety of possibilities here is basically endless, and so we're focusing on providing good like a baseline and the tools that you can use and easily incorporate into your tool chain. And regarding end-to-end testing, that will be the same as with any other React Native app. No changes here.
Also, there is another question that I think some also overlaps with that. So maybe we can also add a bit about hosting such an app, and maybe hosting also the modules. So then I think we'll also cover the topic more holistically. So the question was, how should we handle deploying such an app? Where can you host it? Did you think about some automated way for doing so? So I think the missing piece from the last question was mostly about hosting.
Yeah, so deployment would be very similar to a regular React Native application. So you host it in an app store. However, you have, if you're using the remote JavaScript chunks functionality using module federation with remote code, you can host it anywhere. So for the Super App Showcase, we host them on GitHub CDN. You can use S3 or upload things or whatever suits you, basically. And regarding automation, we're thinking about showing how to do it, but not to do it for you. You would be the one to automate some things in terms of your own deployment pipelines and tooling.
Cool. Okay, so then thank you, Mike. I see there is one more question, a fresh one about the performance. So the question from Anonymous: does Repack affect performance of the app?
Jacob, do you want to handle this one?
Yeah, sure. I'm not aware of any cases where Repack actually hindered the performance. Usually, Repack with code splitting is used to alleviate performance troubles by reducing the load on the app startup. But since the Hermes engine was introduced, this is now only viable in the very big apps. That's where it still makes a difference. Yeah, except for that, I'm not aware of any performance issues that we might have with Repack. So.
Okay. Yeah, I think at scale, you can definitely think of Repack to optimize some parameters of your app. But also what is worth to be conscious about is that for especially small products, small teams, not that much developed products already, it might be some overhead, not necessarily performance, but this is one thing to also have in mind. That's why we are also recommending this approach and this training to bigger teams and to actually like a bigger products that can be treated as super app, so multi-purpose application.
Yeah, so maybe I'll extend this question that Repack theoretically can affect performance because it adds extra native module responsive if you're using code signing, for example, or federation, which this training is all about. Then you're interacting with the federation mechanism, for example, through a native module. So in theory, there can be some overhead with in the old architecture related to the bridging layer, and in the new architecture related to the like very small overhead on a turbo module and that will be like about it. Is this something that's gonna visibly impact your app? I don't know. This is not something that that we caught as significant in our testing, but your mileage may vary. So we'll be happy to get some reports on the performance of our federated module, and if there's anything that's bashing it in any way, we'd be happy to take a look at that and see where we can improve it.
Yeah, so the performance is a whole different topic, right? So here, maybe just a side note, make sure you are actually signed up for our newsletter, because we are getting new optimization guide for React Native prepare for you. So stay tuned and make sure you are actually on the newsletter to get notified. So if you care about performance, that's really decent publication that you should probably wait for. And in the meantime, you can check also on our website. There is a whole ebook, almost 300 pages, that you can read about performance in React Native. So maybe it will help you also in the meantime. Okay, so next question. Is it possible to use Expo modules with better workflow in Repack?
I can answer that.
Go try this one. We had this conversation today.
Maybe. Actually, So about that matter, it should work, as Repack doesn't really. I can't find the right word for it. Doesn't really change how you interact with native modules. All you have to do, because Expo module is like a layer of abstraction between native modules and your JS code, right? So this shouldn't affect your app at all. And while I personally haven't tested it, it should be possible. That might be actually a good case to showcase inside of Repack examples repository. So one thing to think about. I hope that answers your question.
I think so. Yeah. So I will go to the next one, and in case anyone has more questions, more specific questions about that, then please place it. Then please post it on a Slido. And in the meantime, let's tackle this one. Is there any difference on how we build, deploy, and release the app using Repack? So I think about deploying, releasing, we already touched on that, but the building piece is also something that might be worth a bit explaining.
So yeah, it is different. It is slightly different. Like the deployment to the App Store stays basically the same, but building the app, you're using different commands instead of React Native Bundle. You're using Webpack Bundle for starting the application. You're using Webpack Start, and what else, Jacob? Can you think about anything else? Like the developer experience is also different because you're using different bundler. So so the feedback is slightly different. The error messages maybe maybe different as well in some cases. Yeah, and regarding the deployment, like overall deployment, it's not very different if you're just replacing Metro with Webpack and with Repack. But if you're adopting a new architecture, and by architecture I mean module federation and super app architecture, this is like completely different thing. That's why we're building this training. That's why we are building knowledge materials on top of Repack. Because it's way different way. It's a different way of dealing with application life cycle. Because you can deploy it once to the App Store and update it hundreds times without going through the App Store, for example. So you may think about your over-the-air updates, your versioning of the applications, how they interact with each other. It's a different thing in this term, but it stems not from the differences between Metro and Webpack. It's because you have a different architecture of your app, which is like single application versus super application.
Yeah, I think to get to know how to actually build a super app application using Repack versus single versus normal application with normal architecture. If you are developing already React Native, then I encourage you to actually consider the training because it will guide you through the whole development process, how you develop the app in Repack. Then also you'll end up having your app built this way. And then you'll also be able to check and very well understand the more advanced use cases that we are also demonstrating in the open source app showcase application. So I encourage you to try this out, right? Yeah, you have no risk at all. As I mentioned, you can, if you don't like it, then just ask us for money back. We ask no question about that. Okay, so let me, I see a new question. So let's go to that one. Right now we have a lot of features that are coming to Metro, new debugger, etc. How is Repack up to these great things that will be in Metro?
Yeah, so short answer is that we will need to re-implement some of those new functionalities that are tied to Metro on our own. However, a good thing is that for many things like debugger, for example, the bulk of work is shifted to Hermes, which handles Chrome debugging protocol and exposes the API for bundlers and for browsers to use. So so there's likely not a like huge amount of work to get this on par with Metro. However, this is something that we will for some time we will stay behind Metro and we'll need to we'll need to re-implement it on our own terms in some cases, and I would expect that we would need to make some changes to the core of React Native. It's not impossible that some of those features were like hard coded into the React Native runtime without taking other bundlers into account. This happens because Metro is so ubiquitous in React Native space. And on the other hand, Webpack is like very, very flexible. We are able to work around some things, and also we're in direct contact with the Metro team. So there's definitely a way to have those great new features that Metro has been hard at work for the last couple of months to have them in Repack as well. This is definitely something that we would like to prioritize once those features are either out of their experimental phase, because for now, for example, the new debugger that's based on CDP, the Chrome debugging protocol, is experimental, starting with version 73, which is not yet stable, and it will be stable in version 74, which will be like 3 months from now, probably. So this is something for us to look for and look at in the next year, and we are gonna do that sooner or later, definitely.
Yeah, one more thing I would like to add. For some features, we're actually ahead of the curve. Because, for example, only very recently, like 3 or 4 months ago, I believe, Metro added support for symlinking, which was the famous issue number 1 in their repository. Since Repack uses Webpack under the hood, we supported that through the very beginning, and there was no issue with that, which allows for use of package managers like PNPM, which by default use symlinks quite extensively.
Okay, thank you, Jacob. Thank you, Mike. I think we are actually out of the questions for today. So let me maybe quickly recap the training itself, and we'll be off to go. So once again, Super Apps training is the process that will take you from not knowing how to implement Super Apps with Repack up until you can actually develop a simple app and explore onward the most advanced use cases that we also provide you with. You have the 1-year access to the materials. You have free access to all the updates we'll do. You have also access to the community that we'll be facilitating and be a part of on the Discord. You have all the bonuses, including knowledge base and dictionary of all the terms, versions repository, and full support. You have also like no risk buying this. You can, if you don't like this training for any reason, then just let us know. We'll give you money back. And the access to the materials will be from tomorrow. And please remember, very important thing, today is the last day you can buy this training, and tomorrow it disappears from the market. So if you want to buy it, if you want to join the program, then please do it today. We are not extending this, and we are also not sure when it will come back and be available to buy. So this is on a final note. I invite you to join if, of course, you find it useful for you. Just let us know. It's still the time until the end of today, Pacific time. So thank you for today, and have a good one.
Yeah, thank you. Enjoyed the questions. Hope you
Yeah,
enjoyed
thank you
it.
very much.